There may come a time when local car makers like BAIC, BYD, and Xpeng may displace some foreign automakers in China's car market. With Chinese EV makers rapidly growing, the question arises, is stock competition in the automotive industry between giants such as Ford Motor and Volkswagen going to be fierce? How did these Chinese brands end up displacing long-entrenched global auto brands? And what does the rise of China as a significant EV market mean for the industry? So in this video, we will look at the auto industry's future, taking the lead in the electric vehicle space. Stay tuned to the end of the video to understand how this push for EVs by the Chinese will impact the kind of cars you may be using in the future. China's car market has been owned by foreign automakers such as Volkswagen, Ford, and General Motors for many years, and they have been selling millions of vehicles and making huge profits. But change is the game's name, and the pace is getting faster and faster. Chinese new energy car makers such as BYD and Xpeng are rapidly moving up in the rankings, challenging the most prominent car market globally. Now, some of the largest international auto manufacturers are struggling. Volkswagen, for instance, has some sales figures that are declining rapidly. The company is now threatening that it can cut costs by shutting down plants in Germany. Their CFO, Arno Antlitz, claims so. They moved only 500,000 vehicles less per year, which is the production of 2 factories in Europe compared to before the pandemic. In China, the company's largest market, Volkswagen's car sales have dropped by a quarter in the last 3 years. Last year alone, they were even displaced from being the leading car brand in China for the first time in more than 20 years by BYD. Even giants such as Ford and General Motors are described as diminishing because Chinese consumers are turning to local automotive industries. July data shows that foreign car makers only control 1/3 of the Chinese car market, compared to the 53% hold they had in 2017. Why are profits plummeting for foreign automakers in China? As local EV companies take charge, overseas giants like Toyota and GM face significant drops in sales and earnings. It is not only the automobile majors from overseas who are experiencing reduced sales in China. They are also witnessing a steep decline in their profitability. For instance, Toyota, which is feeling deep pain in its pocketbook, said that earnings realized from joint ventures in China declined by 73% in the quarter ending June 30th, from the corresponding period in the previous year. General Motors is in an even worse position. The expansion of their joint venture businesses this year has been unprofitable, and the company's sales in China have been cut in half. In 2017, GM sold more than 4 million cars in China, but in the year ending last year, it has fallen to 2.1 million. The competition is deepening within the Chinese market since local participants operating electric vehicle companies want to engage in a war on prices. The CEO of GM, Mary Barra, highlighted that the current scenario is that very few firms are presently generating profits in China. It said that the price reductions are ongoing and are heading towards what she described as a tossing battle where all get defeated. This price competition has already led some firms to change their business models or pull out of the market. Mitsubishi Motors only ended manufacturing cars in China this year. Honda, Hyundai, and Ford have had to overhaul their Chinese strategies through layoffs and factory shutdowns to survive in this immensely competitive environment. Auto expert Michael Dunn points out that the age for foreign automakers to reap unprecedented profit has passed in China. That is why more problems may await brands positioned on the mass market in the coming years. The spectacular experience of the last 2 decades for international car makers has been breathtaking in China. That is why the sales and profits increased significantly, for example, for the companies that have been working in the country for a long time, such as Volkswagen and General Motors. Such was the feeling that this boom would never end that one auto executive quipped, "We make more money than God here." Even though China's government promoted its Made in China 2025 inches strategy in the mid-2010s for local electric vehicle and battery makers, foreign automakers persisted. Still, in the early 1990s, car consumers remained loyal to the mainstream global brand of conventional automobiles. Then, all change came in December of 2019, when Tesla's first homegrown Model 3 came off the production line in Shanghai. It has been stated that several experts have noted that the presence of Tesla was only the beginning. One day, consumers began to view electric autos as the hip thing to get in, while Tesla shot the likes of BYD, NIO, and Li Auto into stardom. These Companies had been slowly enhancing their electric vehicles and were prepared to seize this increasing demand. With the fast-growing market of electric automobiles, nearly 45% of car sales in China this year will be electric or hybrid vehicles, up from almost 1.1 million in 2019. Spatial change mutations were also attributed to generational changes. Traditionally, during the 1990s and 2000s, the majority of older customers did not have trust in domestic brands from China and used to prefer foreign cars. However, the younger generation currently active in the market has been born and grown with B2C Chinese platforms such as Alibaba and JD.com, so to them, buying a Chinese car does not carry any negative connotations whatsoever. Currently, electric vehicle technology is transforming the automobile industry across the globe at an unprecedented pace, especially in China, which was a shock to most traditional car makers. It worsened when the COVID-19 pandemic Trevor affected the world, resulting in years of lockdown. The auto executives couldn't visit China as often as they would have wished to keep abreast with the dynamism of the market. It was too late when they looked around and saw that they had fallen so far behind in things like vehicle software, production speed, battery technology, and supply chain access. The competition had already raced ahead. For instance, BYD, the global automobile company, achieved its best ever sale of 3.02 million vehicles in the previous year, including plug-in hybrids, a 62% year-on-year growth. On the other hand, Volkswagen sales stood just above 1 million electric and plug-in hybrids, an increase of 26% from earlier. Introducing more electric cars than combustion engine cars, Volkswagen moved 6.58 million passenger cars and trucks. Tesla, which produces fully electric vehicles, sells only 1.8 million cars and trucks. The automotive industry sources have opined that the leadership of the international automakers got overconfident about their sales of automobiles that run on gas. This attitude left them off guards with the EV revolution on the horizon. Now, several non-Chinese brands are suddenly seeing it slip out of their fingers as they struggle to gain a grip. What impact does this growth have on European companies? As Chinese EV makers like BYD expand globally, European automakers face increased competition and may lose market share. Electric vehicles aren't just made in China for the domestic market. China's manufacturers are preparing to take on the world. In 2017, passenger car exports from China rose by over 60% and exceeded 4 million. Such a growth rate placed China as the world's largest exporter of automobiles, having outpaced Japan and Germany. Among those exports, more than a quarter were electric vehicles. As informed by Glowing World's researchers, Chinese automakers may more than double their global market share of EVs by 2030 to about a third. As a recent trend projection suggests, it will prove most detrimental to many European companies. This rise has led to increased tariffs on Chinese-made EVs, but it is unclear if an increase in import duties will arrest this flow. However, the same global automakers are not relenting in the Chinese market, which has become strategic for EV assembly and exports. For instance, last year, Volkswagen bought a 5% controlling interest in Xpeng for $700 million to boost its revenue in China. Automotive giant Stellantis, the parent company of Citroën, Fiat, and Peugeot, followed crypto by paying 1.5 billion euros for a 20% stake in Leapmotor, a growing Chinese EV maker. Soon, Stellantis will launch Leapmotor cars in several European countries and show Chinese brands developing internationally. While some European automakers continue to tighten their emission standards and seek suppliers that can provide high-tech components for clean cars, Chinese companies like BYD are actively forging into global markets by setting up factories in Thailand and Hungary, and even acquiring their German distributors to move to the next level in Europe. In the words of one expert in the industry, China today is the hub of the global automotive industry, and the next thing on everyone's lips is how one deals with marauding Chinese brands. Outro. We hope you enjoyed uncovering the untold truth about why American automakers are struggling in China. As local EV brands like BYD, Xpeng, and BAIC rise to the top, it's clear that the competition in China's car market is heating up. It's fascinating to see how these Chinese brands are displacing global giants like Ford and Volkswagen, and what this shift means for the auto industry's future. As China continues its push to become a global leader in electric vehicles, the impact will be felt worldwide. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for more insights into the evolving world of automotive trends. Thanks for watching.